Hi guys, my name is Sarah Taylor and I'm a Senior Ruby Ambassador with Plexus. I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my story, both with the products as well as the business. I've actually been with Plexus for about a year now. I joined last March, and before that I was actually a customer of Plexus for about a month. And actually the reason that I started as a customer was because I wanted to lose a little bit of weight. I'm a stay-at-home mom and I have two kids, ages 2 and 4, and I had been struggling with baby weight from my son. And so I actually started the products purely for weight loss reasons. But what I didn't know was that it was going to help me with a lot more than that. So that part of my story starts a few years previous to that. I was dealing with some pretty significant depression. My husband and I had conceived my daughter Emma, and that pregnancy had started out really great, but then it started to become extremely difficult on us. I was put on bed rest at 20 weeks and remained there in the duration of my pregnancy. And the reason I was put on bed rest was because I was going into preterm labor about every other day. So I was in and out of the hospital constantly on magnesium and all that good stuff. But through that, I actually lost my job because I couldn't stay on with them and take that much vacation. And anyway, that's a long story, but I lost my job. And my husband had just changed careers, and he was commission only and was doing kind of a training period, so to speak. He's a financial advisor. So he was still working on getting his customer base up. And so that we went from making 2 six-figure salaries to making under 30 grand. So to say this period in our lives was stressful is the understatement. So about a month before I gave birth to my daughter, which I did give birth to her prematurely, my father actually passed away. My mom came over and told me I was unable to go to his funeral, and that really it rocked my world. I was extremely close with my father. So I was unable to go to his funeral because I was on bed rest, and his funeral was in South Dakota, and I live in Texas. So that was a really hard and difficult time period. I gave birth to my daughter prematurely. She had a few issues at birth, and so started to deal with a little bit of postpartum depression just because of my whole father issue as well as my daughter. Fast forward a month from there, and my nephew actually passed away in a texting and driving accident. So it was extremely we didn't see it coming, obviously. And so that just kind of put me further and further into that depression. I never sought help, which I absolutely should have looking back. But then I got pregnant with another child, and we actually lost that child, and I got pregnant with my son, Carson. My son, Carson, we had the same kind of issues. We actually ended up on bed rest with him and preterm labor, all that jazz, but then they found some issues with him, and they induced me at 32 weeks. So he was 2 months early. So from there on, we were in the NICU for a little over a month. I was stressed to the max because he was not breathing when he was born, and we couldn't touch him until he was a week old. So as a new mom, your hormones are playing, they're going crazy. So throughout the next probably 8 or 9 months or so, I was struggling. I never got back to myself. I was extremely depressed. My husband was to the point where he was putting notes on my nightstand of psychologists to call, that kind of thing. So to say I was down in the dumps it's a very true statement. There aren't even words to tell you, really. I was literally sitting on the couch. I was not present with my kids. I had no energy. I was not doing anything that a quote-unquote good mother should. I know we all kind of get mommy guilt, but I know I was not being present with my kids, and I was not being the mom that I should have. So fortunately for me, I had seen my friend Jamie posting about Plexus on her newsfeed, and I watched her for about 7 months before I jumped in. and started as a customer, and I could tell right away that things were getting better for me. I had a lot more energy. I was happier. I was not living by the coffee pot all day long. I was actually sleeping through the night, which that's something I didn't mention. I had horrible chronic headaches and insomnia, like sleep anxiety every single night. I could not sleep for the life of me. And so I think all of that was compounding with everything else I was going through. The first month with Plexus, I actually gained weight. I gained a pound, but my mood was so improved. And like I said, my husband is a financial advisor, and he's extremely, extremely cheap. So he convinced me to sign up as an ambassador so we could get it at wholesale price, because it's the cheapest way to buy the products. So I actually signed up not to sell, but to just start taking the products at a cheaper price. Once I signed up, I knew I had a few good girlfriends that were dealing with some pretty major issues that I thought Plexus could help with. So I actually reached out to them and told them to just give it a try, because I thought it would help them. So after a few days, my husband was like, well, maybe you should post on Facebook. Maybe we can get your products for free. So I did that, and over the course of that next month, I had a lot of success with Plexus, just sharing what it was doing for me, not actually, selling it, just basically sharing how it was working for me. And we ended up with that very first check being able to cover our mortgage and both of our car payments. And both of us were blown away by that. It was a really incredible thing for us. And so the next month rolled around. I kind of thought maybe that was a fluke, and here I was the next month making enough to pay 2 mortgage payments if we want to. So that's when I really started to, dig my heels in and really start promoting the business from I want to make this a career perspective. And I did. I obviously am extremely passionate about the products, because that was what was my driving force behind all of this. I know that the products worked. They worked for me, and they've worked for a lot of my friends at this point, 2 months in. So I started really going forward with it. So here we are a year later, and I can't even describe what I've seen with this company. I've seen my close friend, my best friend, is no longer considered diabetic. Her kidney disease, which she was actually headed towards the transplant list, she was in kidney failure. She actually is no longer considered, her kidney disease is dormant. And so I've had friends that were on bed rest for 6.5 years with lupus that are now able to get out of bed. And so I could tell those stories over and over again. So at this point in time, I know these products work. So here I am a year later. I just ranked up to Senior Ruby, and I'm looking at possibly ranking up to Emerald next month. This past month, we had just built a brand new 4,200 square foot house, and my pay from this past month, I could pay that mortgage 5 times over, which is incredible for us. What that's done for me as a stay-at-home mom, number one, it's helped me find myself. I feel like I was starting to lose myself a little bit in that whole mommy role, but I now have a purpose, a business. I get to stay at home with my kids still without having to leave them in daycare or anything like that. I'm bringing in a full-on second income for me and my husband, and I have taken the stress off my husband. I've opened the door for our family for a lot bigger dreams than what we had before, and I just feel incredibly blessed to be able to share this. My next rank actually comes with a brand new free Lexus, a free trip to Maui every year going forward, and a guaranteed pretty much 6-figure salary every year, and a lot more. There's a lot more that I'm definitely going to be doing with this company, but I cannot say enough what a blessing this has been from a health perspective. My kids have their mom back. My husband has his wife back. It has completely helped me with my depression. I've lost all the weight that I needed to, for sure. And I'm just a happier, healthier mom, and I get to help my friends and family get healthy. So I hope that if you guys are thinking about trying Plexus, it's at the very least, it's worth a shot of trying it.